Sleep isn't a luxury you can simply discard as you age, it's the foundation of your mental fortress. Yet most seniors accept deteriorating sleep as inevitable, surrendering to nights of restlessness while their cognitive function erodes and vitality diminishes. This widespread resignation is not just unfortunate, it's unnecessary. These 8 evidence-based methods will transform your relationship with sleep tonight. The human mind requires proper restoration to function with clarity and purpose. Look, you've spent decades building your life. Why would you accept its diminishment when solutions exist? The choice to reclaim restorative sleep is yours to make right now. Number 1. Rebuild your sleep identity. There's an old tale from the northern forests. A man, gray-bearded and bitter, would sit by the riverbank every night tossing stones. He claimed he couldn't sleep because the world had moved on without him. He said the nights were too quiet, too empty, and that his body simply didn't work like it used to. But if you looked closer, you'd see it wasn't the river or the silence that kept him awake. It was the identity he clung to, the man who had already been forgotten. He wore it like a coat, thick, heavy, familiar, and every night he reinforced that role by refusing to lie down like someone who still belonged to the world. The way you see yourself changes what your body is willing to do. That's not just theory, it's psychology. Carl Jung would call it the shadow, the unseen script you've been running underneath every behavior. For decades you worked, you pushed, you endured, and then one day retirement came and nobody handed you a new identity. You became the man who used to be needed, and over time that story hardens. You stop preparing for sleep like it matters, because somewhere deep down you've accepted that rest is no longer earned. That's the real problem. Not age, not hormones, but narrative. You're still acting out the role of the man who doesn't need to function at full power. So why would your body deliver that? Humans don't resist sleep. They resist letting go of control. And when your identity is wrapped in proving you still matter, then closing your eyes feels like surrender, like disappearance. You tell yourself, I've never been a good sleeper, or I just don't sleep much anymore. And what you're doing without knowing it is embedding those phrases into your nervous system. You become what you repeat. And repetition doesn't care whether you're right, it just cares whether you're consistent. Which means that every time you declare yourself broken, your body complies. But there's a way out, and it begins with a deliberate reversal. From this night forward, you will stop calling yourself a bad sleeper. You strip that title out of your vocabulary like it's poison, because it is. Instead, you begin crafting a new identity. I'm the kind of man who prepares himself for rest. That's where the shift begins. Identity first, habit follows. Start small. You don't have to overhaul your entire night routine. Just anchor one act to the new identity. Light a candle, sit in silence, breathe for 2 minutes before bed and say it out loud. I prepare my body to rest. It may feel foolish, awkward, even pointless, but so did everything worth doing the first time. The key isn't perfection, it's consistency. Identity isn't claimed, it's built. And it's built in the quiet, repetitive decisions you make when no one's watching. What changed for the old man at the river wasn't the night. It was the moment he got tired of being tired. One evening, without telling anyone, he walked back to his cabin, folded his clothes, and lay down like someone who still had a tomorrow to meet. He wasn't a better sleeper. He was a different man. So when I say rebuild your sleep identity, I don't mean fake it. I mean remember who you were before you gave up on rest. You weren't made to drift through the last chapters of your life in a fog. You were made to carry the weight of clarity, even now, especially now. And clarity begins where identity is reclaimed. This isn't about sleep hygiene, it's about sovereignty. You are not just a body reacting to time, you are a mind capable of commanding meaning. And if you don't direct that meaning toward restoration, then don't be surprised when your nights remain fractured. You can't sleep like a king if you think like a casualty. You owe yourself more than quiet resignation. You owe yourself order. Sleep is not the reward of the weak. It is the rightful inheritance of the responsible. Take it back. Number 2, anchor your wake time, not your bedtime. There was a village on the edge of a desert where water was scarce and time was sacred. The people there had no clocks. Instead, they lived by the sun. At dawn, every man, woman, and child rose to the light, not because they felt rested, but because they knew the day demanded presence. Their strength didn't come from perfect rest. It came from certainty. The sun rose, so did they. That one act, repeated with reverence, became their rhythm, and rhythm gave them power. Sleep doesn't begin at night. It begins in the morning. But most men never learn that. They lie in bed, watching the ceiling, waiting for sleep to come like a child waiting for rain, and when it doesn't, they push bedtime further and further into the night, thinking that if they could just force the start of sleep, everything else would follow. But the body doesn't work that way. The mind certainly doesn't. You can't push yourself into unconsciousness with effort, but you can pull yourself into rhythm by owning your mornings. The real anchor in your day is not when you go to bed, it's when you get up. That's what resets your internal clock. That's what tells your body, this man is consistent, this man knows who he is. When you wake up at the same time every day, regardless of how well you slept, you send a signal deeper than biology. You declare order, and the body respects order. B.F. Skinner called it behavioral conditioning. Set a consistent cue, repeat the behavior, and the body will begin to respond automatically. But there's something more ancient than that, something deeper. In Jungian terms, waking on time is symbolic. It's a micro-resurrection. You're rising from unconsciousness into the realm of responsibility. You're saying to yourself, even if the night failed me, I will not fail the day. That's how identity takes root, not through ideal conditions, but through repeated choices in the absence of ease. It's not easy, especially not at first. You'll have nights where you sleep poorly, restless, interrupted, and fragmented, and everything in you will want to compensate by sleeping in. That's the trap. Because when you shift your wake time to make up for it, your body loses the one thing it needs to rebuild a rhythm: predictability. The mind can tolerate fatigue. What it can't tolerate is chaos. Chaos breeds anxiety, and anxiety devours rest. So what do? You get up. At the same time, every single day, no matter how broken the night was. And yes, you'll feel tired for a while. That's the price of reconstruction. But within a week or two, the body begins to trust you again. It begins to sync with your intention. You'll notice something subtle at first. Your hunger shifts, your mood steadies, your evening drowsiness returns, not by chance, by calibration. The man who anchors his mornings is not ruled by exhaustion, he's ruled by decision, and that decision spills over into everything. You start to reclaim your appetite, your energy, and your mental clarity, not because sleep magically returns, but because you stopped waiting for it and started building it. The villagers didn't ask if they were tired. They asked if the sun had risen. If it had, so did they. And in that simple act, they found strength. So when I tell you to anchor your wake time, I don't mean set an alarm. I mean set an identity. I mean choose to rise, not because it's comfortable, but because it's necessary. You are not the sum of how many hours you slept last night. You are the sum of what you do despite it. There's a kind of peace that only comes to the disciplined, a dignity that belongs only to those who rise with purpose. Your mind is not asking for perfection, it's asking for rhythm, and rhythm begins not in the darkness, but in the decision to rise with the light. Don't wait for your body to tell you when the day starts. You tell it, every morning, without exception, and in time, it will follow. Number 3, limit evening light and screen exposure. A long time ago, before the buzzing cities and the sleepless world, people told stories by firelight. The orange glow would flicker on their faces as they sat in circles, voices soft, bodies quieting. The fire did more than warm them, it signaled something ancient. The day was done. No more hunting, no more striving, just reflection and stillness. The fire wasn't just light, it was a boundary, a sacred line between waking and rest. You don't have a fire anymore. You have screens, and they're stealing your night. Every man over 65 has heard the advice, turn off your screens before bed. It's been said so many times that you've probably dismissed it. But the reason it's repeated isn't because it's cliché, it's because it's essential. And the older you get, the more critical it becomes. Your body is light sensitive. Not just your eyes, your brain. Your sleep system is regulated by a rhythm, one deeply influenced by the amount and quality of light you take in. In the evening, your body is designed to detect the dimming of the sun. That's the signal it's been waiting for all day. It's time to shut down. But when you surround yourself with artificial light, overhead bulbs, glowing phones, bright televisions, you send a different signal. Daytime isn't over, and the body obeys. What happens next? Your internal system holds back melatonin, the very hormone that tells your brain it's time to sleep. Your thoughts stay sharp, your attention stays wide, and your body prepares for performance, not rest. You may feel tired, but neurologically you're on standby, ready, alert, just waiting for the next ping, the next flash, the next bit of stimulation, and you wonder why you can't drift off. The deeper issue isn't the technology, it's the relationship you've built with it. For years, maybe decades, your television has been your comfort, your phone, your distraction, your laptop, your evening routine. You're not just breaking a habit, you're breaking an identity bond, and that's why it feels hard. Because giving up the screen means facing silence, facing self, facing the day without distraction. But there's a way through, not all at once. Start by reclaiming your last hour. Pick a time, say 8:30 p.m., and decide from this moment on, no more bright overheads, no more screens, switch to lamps. Use warm bulbs, candlelight, even. Make your home feel like dusk, like that old campfire story, flickering in the dark. If you need a visual wind down, read a paper book, listen to slow instrumental music, write something with your hand. These acts are more than substitutions, they're signals. They tell your body, we're stepping away from stimulation, we're preparing to let go. Some men will say, I can't sleep without watching something, and to them I say you can. But first you have to let the silence speak. You've spent decades overriding your biology. Of course it won't feel natural at first. Of course there'll be resistance. But so what? The goal is not comfort, it's alignment. You were not made to glow into the night like a machine. You were made to dim, to slow, to hand the day back to nature, hour by hour. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. So when I say limit your evening light, I'm not talking about light bulbs. I'm talking about signals. You're telling your body how to behave, whether you realize it or not. The question is, are you lying to it? The fire told the truth. It said, rest now, you've done enough. Your screens say, keep going, there's more. And there always is. More news, more nonsense, more noise. But you don't need more. You need quiet. You need dark. You need the permission to let go. No one's going to hand it to you. You have to choose it. Put the phone down. Turn off the light. Let your house grow dim. And watch what happens next. The world outside will keep spinning. But you'll be at peace, preparing for a kind of strength that only comes in stillness. That's how a man sleeps. Not by chance, but by design. Number 4. Introduce a wind-down ritual. In the highlands of Japan, there's an old temple where monks rise and sleep at exact times every day. Before they rest, they follow the same ritual. They sweep the floor in silence, light a stick of incense, and bow once to the empty room. Not because the floor is dirty, not because someone is watching, but because ritual creates order, and order welcomes sleep. You don't need a robe or a temple to understand this. You need rhythm. You need to reclaim the final hour of your day as something sacred, not passive, not accidental, sacred. Most modern men have no ritual. They fall into bed like a man collapsing on the battlefield. No structure, no process, just exhaustion and hope. That's not rest, that's surrender. The mind doesn't sleep when the day ends. It sleeps when the body believes the day has ended. And the only way to convince the body of that truth is through repetition, through small acts that signal closure. The warm cup of tea, the quiet walk down a dark hallway, the same book, the same chair, the lights dimmed in the same order. These are not chores, they are transitions. They tell your nervous system you are safe now, let go. Jung would say that ritual allows the unconscious mind to receive instruction through action. That's what you're doing here, not performing superstition, but symbolizing a shift from doing to being, from effort to surrender, from responsibility to restoration. And yet most men, especially in their later years, resist ritual. They think it's unnecessary, childish, even weak. But let me ask you, is it weakness to prepare for sleep the way a soldier prepares for battle, with precision, with clarity, with intention? You've prepared for the demands of work your whole life. Why not prepare for the demands of rest? The first step is not to wait until you're exhausted. That's when you're most likely to skip it. Instead, set a time, let's say 9 p.m. From that point forward, everything slows. This is not a checklist, it's a sequence, a pattern. You might begin by turning off the overhead lights. That's your first symbol. Then boil water for herbal tea. Nothing with caffeine. That's your second. While it steeps, sit in a quiet room. No screens, no noise. Just sit, sip, breathe. You are telling your body it's over. We're finished today. Then perhaps a short walk around the house. You check that things are in place. You lower the thermostat slightly. You lay out your clothes for the morning. These are symbolic acts. They reduce uncertainty. They close open loops in the mind, and your mind is constantly looking for closure. Now you brush your teeth, slowly. No rush. The final step into bed. Same time every night. Not when you're tired, when it's time. That distinction matters. This is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent, even when it doesn't work immediately, especially then, because your body has been trained by chaos. It takes time to untrain that. What you're building is not a routine, it's a ritual, and ritual is the language of the deeper self. So when I say introduce a wind-down ritual, I don't mean drink warm milk and hope for the best. I mean build a bridge between your day and your night, a symbolic act that signals, I am not a man at war with rest. I am a man in control of how he ends. And once that message sinks in, once it's reinforced night after night, you'll begin to notice the shift. Your thoughts will soften sooner. Your breath will slow without being told. Your dreams will return, not as strangers but as messengers. You are not a machine to be switched off. You are a man who must be guided toward peace. So start guiding, step by step, act by act. Let each movement say what your words cannot. I am done for today, and that is enough. Number 5. Stop eating 3 hours before bed. In the old Roman armies, soldiers weren't allowed to eat past sunset, not because of some health theory, but because the commanders understood something primal. The body cannot prepare for war and sleep at the same time. Digestion, they believed, was a kind of battle, an internal fire that demanded vigilance, heat, energy. You don't fall asleep while fighting. You recover after the flames have cooled. And yet here we are, decades later, eating full meals at 9 p.m., popping antacids at 10, and wondering why we're wide awake at midnight. The body has systems, rhythms, a sequence of biological priorities, and digestion is not a quiet act. It's a process of breakdown and extraction, a heat-driven transformation. When you eat late, especially heavy or sugary foods, you are asking your body to remain alert, to process, to work. You are delaying the shift into rest, sometimes by hours. You may fall asleep, but the sleep is shallow. Your heart rate stays elevated. Your temperature doesn't drop the way it should. Your dreams scatter. And worst of all, your body doesn't trust you, because you said you were done for the day, but your stomach says otherwise. This isn't about diet trends or weight loss. It's about timing. It's about respect. You wouldn't pour fuel into a fireplace just before you plan to go to sleep next to it. That's exactly what late-night eating is, a slow-burning fire at the very hour your system is designed to cool down. And if you're over 65, this matters even more. Your metabolism has shifted, your gut process is slower, your hormones are more sensitive, which means every late-night snack is louder, biologically speaking. It echoes longer. The consequences are steeper. You feel it the next morning in your fog, in your energy, in your mood. So what do? You make a hard rule: no food 3 hours before bed, not 2, not 90 minutes. 3. It's a boundary, and like all boundaries, it's not meant to punish you, it's meant to protect you. Will it feel strange at first? Yes, especially if you've trained yourself to associate nighttime with comfort eating. You're not just breaking a habit, you're breaking a ritual of avoidance, because often that late snack isn't hunger, it's loneliness, it's boredom, it's grief in disguise. That's where the deeper transformation begins. You're not just changing your food schedule, you're confronting your patterns. You're saying, I will feel what I've been avoiding. I will sit in the quiet. I will not stuff it down with sugar and starch and salt. That takes strength. Not everyone has it, but you do, or you wouldn't be here. Begin by adjusting your dinner time. Push it earlier. Start with small wins. Eat more during the day. Hydrate properly. And when the cravings come at night, because they will pause, ask yourself, am I feeding my body or escaping my mind? Create a new association for that hour. Make tea, read, call someone, write something. Make that time sacred, not stuffed. You'll be surprised how quickly your body adapts. Within a week, your sleep will deepen. Your nights will be quiet. Your system will begin to thank you. So when I say stop eating 3 hours before bed, I'm not just offering advice. I'm handing you a weapon against chaos, a small act of discipline that radiates power. You're teaching your body how to trust again. You're saying, this day has ended. No more fuel, no more noise, just rest. And the older you get, the more this matters, because your nights are no longer just for rest. They are for restoration, for repair, for peace, let them be. Sleep is not simply the absence of wakefulness, it is a daily return to vulnerability, a surrender into the unknown, and for the responsible man, it is a sacred act. You are not just trying to rest, you are trying to realign yourself with the rhythms that sustain life, clarity and meaning. Every choice you make before bed is a signal, to your body, to your mind, and ultimately to your soul. And here lies the deeper truth. If you don't choose structure, you will default to chaos. There is no neutral ground. Ignore these rhythms, and your nights will fray, your thoughts will wander, your sense of self will scatter across forgotten hours. But discipline, steady, deliberate, even imperfect, creates order, and where there is order, peace follows. Not comfort, peace, the kind born of integration, of self-respect, of earned rest. So the question is not, can you sleep better? That's trivial. The real question is this: can you become the kind of man who lives in a way that deserves deep sleep? Because that man rises with purpose. He ends his days with intention. He understands that restoration is not indulgence, it's responsibility. Ask yourself, are you building a life that allows rest to return, or are you still waiting for it to find you?